and it targets harmful drinkers who buy cheap drink, effectively the minimum unit price, and it is targeting public health measures. And our modelling from Scotland shows that it impacts the high-risk heavy drinkers the most because they purchase strong, cheap alcohol products.
The Cabinet's approved to the new affordable housing bill after meeting this afternoon. It'll legislate for a shared equity scheme, direct building of affordable houses by local authorities and the development of cost rental accommodation. Price caps will also be set on what's deemed affordable, with Dublin City the highest limit at €450,000 for a home. 1 in 3 young people who smoke cannabis once a week or more often are becoming addicted, according to a new report. The College of Psychiatrists says cannabis and its potency is leading to the gravest mental health issues Ireland faces today. Author of and podcaster Blind Boy Boat Club told The Hard Shoulder here in Newstalk he believes it's time to take a new approach to the drug in Ireland.
Fully legalise it, regulate it, like in Canada, and tax it, and then and you're not only creating an industry with huge employment, use the taxes to fund our mental health services.
There have been a further 2 COVID-19 deaths and 383 new cases. The 5-day average is now 470 cases. 144 people are in hospital with the virus, of which 41 are in ICU. The DUP says it'll hold a vote to elect its new leader and deputy leader on Friday, May 14th. Jeffrey Donaldson and Edwin Poots are the only two to so far announce their intention to replace Arlene Foster. Ms Foster stepped down last week following a revolt within the party. And a psychotherapist says the most effective anti-bullying systems should be designed by school students. The Oireachtas Education Committee was told today there had been a notable rise in serious bullying among children. Coleman Noctor says policies drawn up by adults to deal with the problem often do not work.
It needs to be developed from the inside out. The only bullying policies that I've ever seen as being effective have been developed by students. So get them involved, ask them what they would do.
That's it for now. More in an hour.
Newstalk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. The forecast today is low fares, on-time flights and improving customer service.
Showers will be confined to the west and north tonight. Cold with lows of -1 to +3 degrees. And now you're up to date on Newstalk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is Newstalk.
Hello there, you're very welcome along. So busy show for you this evening on Taoiseach. Micheál Martin will be in studio after 8 o'clock talking about sports policy in this country. Get your questions in, I'll try and put as many to him as possible. We have Brian O'Driscoll this hour talking Leinster, La Rochelle, and of course Lions squad announcement this Thursday, so we'll get Brian's thoughts. Football show after 9, we have Pat Nevin with us. We have Man City, PSG this evening, obviously events at Old Trafford to be discussed with Pat. And just after 9 though, the very sad news, the passing of Irish international Alan McLaughlin. So his former teammates Packy Bonner and Ray Houghton will be with us to pay tribute after 9 o'clock. That news came through this evening. If you hadn't heard, Alan McLaughlin had been battling illness for a very long time and fought very bravely, but sadly has passed away this afternoon. 53106, the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormick, good evening to you.
Hey, Joe.
And Dave McIntyre, hello, evening.
Evening, lads. How are we?
Very well. Very sad news on Alan McLaughlin. He did commentaries for us here on the show for years on Premier League games. Many a Sunday we had Alan on the show, so this was desperately sad news. You would have sat alongside him for many of them.
Yeah, many times. I was lucky enough to spend the day with Alan. What a gentleman. I was really upset to hear he had lost his battle with cancer earlier today. I know he'd been sick for a while, and it was certainly in the news a few weeks back that it had returned and that he was undergoing further treatment, and I dropped him a text just to wish him well, and it was just a one-line text that he sent back just telling me he really appreciated the message. But insofar as you can read into a text, I guess he seemed to be in good spirits, but only he would have known how serious it was, and just desperately sad that at the age of 54 he's gone all too early. But lovely man to spend the day with, and that would often be the case on Premier League commentaries. We'd always arrive over in England very early in the morning, and Alan would be around to hook up for a coffee or something a good deal before the game, and he'd chat away to you. You could sit there all day to him, listen to tell stories about Ireland and Swindon and Portsmouth and the clubs he was happiest at and the clubs he was unhappy at, and it wasn't all plain sailing for him, but he'd stick around for a chat after the game as well. more than just the co-commentator for the afternoon that was in it. Really nice guy to spend some time with.
Yes, and forever iconic, I suppose, as well, because of this moment.
Free kick to the Republic of Ireland. Here's Dennis Irwin to take it. Comes straight out to McLaughlin. It's there! Alan McLaughlin has done it! He could not believe it. He looked for the linesman's flag, but Windsor Park is stunned into silence. Alan McLaughlin has struck gold for Ireland. His very first goal for the Republic of Ireland, headed out by Taggart. He seized the responsibility, and the man from Portsmouth proves himself another masterstroke as a substitution. Taggart's clearance, but this is a classy finish, an unbelievable finish. The man who first came to prominence during the World Cup in Italy may well have secured the Republic's passage to the next one. Splendid strike, no chance right. 77 minutes gone, and it's one apiece, and we're back in business.
And that was one of the great moments, Richie.
Yeah, there's a line after that as well from George where he says if he never scores another Ireland goal again, he'll be a hero forever because of that one. And indeed he was. Like the sheer size and scale of that goal and what it brought to the country can't be underestimated. We can talk about obviously the political surroundings of that game, which were massive at the time, and the small cohort of Ireland fans who'd actually bravely enough headed towards Windsor Park and had to be really quiet and really subdue themselves inside the stadium. But the actual on the pitch efforts, like we've talked about many times on this show about throwing players in at the deep end and whether or not, you know, a certain young player is actually going to be able to sink or swim during a qualification match and the damage it can do. Alan McLaughlin made his debut at a World Cup. He came on for John Aldridge on 64 minutes against England in Calgary. He'd only been called up to the squad pretty late on after a kind of a sniff around a B cap earlier on that year, and was thrown into the lines then in Calgary against England to go and stretch the English defence, which he helped to do to such a degree that Kevin Sheedy was able to equalise. And that's the kind of player he was, and that's the kind of man he was. You'd throw him into any kind of situation, he'd absolutely thrive in it and would be able to put his best foot forward. And as Dave mentioned there, like behind the scenes, a sheer pleasure to deal with. Like the three of us would have dealt with him, I think, in tandem of a Sunday, because, you know, you'd be presenting, Joe, I'd be producing, and Dave would be over there in whatever ground in England it will be. And he'd always be courteous, he'd always be polite, he'd always have a generosity of time and a generosity of effort that really spoke towards the person that he was. And that goal in 93 was absolutely massive, and it earned him another place in the World Cup squad in 94. At club level as well, you can't underplay what he did for Portsmouth. He played over 300 games for them, helped them get to the 92 FA Cup semi-final. He only lost on penalties in a replay to Liverpool that year. Helped Swindon almost get promoted in 1990 as well with his goals in the the second division as it was that year. So just a great player for his clubs, a great servant to his country, and a deserved player of the year in 96 as well.
Yeah, well said. 54, far too young, and he was first diagnosed with cancer in 2012. I suspect there were lots of tough days along the way across these last 9 years. We had him at a roadshow a couple of years ago as well with Niall Quinn, and he was brilliant talking about obviously Windsor Park in 93 and all that. So just desperately sad news. 54 is too young. Our condolences to his family. And like I said, Packy Bonner and Ray Houghton are going to join us after 9 o'clock. We'll start the news round. Brian O'Driscoll is coming up this hour. We have Micheál Martin on Taoiseach on the way after 8, in studio after 8. If there are any questions about sports policy or sport in the country that you would like to put to on Taoiseach, text us in 53106 or get us on Twitter, and we'll try and do that. Obviously, there's quite a few things we want to talk to him about as is. So that's on the way after 8 o'clock. The news round on Off the Ball and News Talk is with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. Richie, Champions League this evening.
Yeah, Manchester City looking to reach a first European final in 51 years tonight. They hold a 2-1 lead over Paris Saint-Germain ahead of the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. For City, Ederson starts in goal. They've got a back four then of Kyle Walker, Ruben Dias, John Stones, and at left back it's Alexander Zinchenko. In midfield, Fernandinho returns, and he's alongside Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan. And then it's that front three of Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez. For Paris Saint-Germain, a couple of changes for them from the first leg. Keylor Navas starts in goal. They've got a back four of Alessandro Florenzi, Marquinhos, Presnel Kimpembe and Abdou Diallo. In midfield then we've got Marco Verratti, Ander Herrera and Leandro Paredes, while Neymar and Mauro Icardi are in the front three alongside Angel Di Maria. Kylian Mbappe only fit enough for a place on the bench. He's suffering from a calf injury, and kick-off at the Etihad, where we've already had hailstones this evening, is at 8 p.m.
What do we think, Dave?
Well, obviously the loss of Mbappe is the headline in terms of that team news that Richie's just delivered. He's barely fit, I would suggest. Otherwise, he wouldn't be even on the bench. If there was anything about him in terms of fitness, he'd have started. Icardi's a goal machine, but he doesn't necessarily stretch teams. Well, he definitely doesn't stretch teams the way that Mbappe does. Herrera for Idrissa Gueye is pretty much like for like. Bakker's a little unfortunate to lose out at left back, but Diallo has had a really good season, and he probably does improve them in that position. But I think losing Mbappe seals the deal for me. I would have had City as heavy favourites to get through the tie before the first leg, and then after that second half performance, which in some ways I think was a little overrated. They did dominate the ball, and their performance was massively improved on what they delivered in the first half. But they didn't really stretch Keylor Navas. I can't recall Navas being forced upon to make a really big save in the second half, and each goal had an element of good fortune to it, albeit it was a wonderful delivery in particular from De Bruyne that led to that opening goal. But I think City will play better again from the start tonight. I cannot see PSG getting through the 90 minutes without conceding, which means they're going to have to score at least 2 just to bring the game to extra time. So for me, City will get the job done tonight, but perhaps not without a scare. And PSG have definitely been better on the road this season than they have at the Parc des Princes. They've been beaten there this season by Manchester United and Bayern Munich in the Champions League alone. They've also been beaten there by a couple of sides in League as well. So they tend to go away from home and get big results. They did it at the Camp Nou, Old Trafford, the Allianz Arena as well. So they'll believe that their form they've shown away from home this season might be enough for them to do something special tonight. They've been involved in special comebacks, but on the receiving end of it generally, maybe tonight could be their night. But in terms of favouritism, City would be the side for me.
Now, Richie, Jose.
Yeah. Hasn't taken him long to find a new job, Joe. Italian Serie A side Roma have confirmed the ex-Tottenham boss will take over this summer at the Stadio Olimpico. He'll replace Paulo Fonseca, who departs at the end of his second season in the Italian capital. Mourinho has signed a 3-year deal with the Giallorossi.
I mean, it really hasn't taken him long. I was wondering where he would pitch up next. Roma not having a good season. I think they're about 7th in the table and not scoring goals and not playing well. But it's a nice move. I suspect Dave Mourinho will enjoy Rome, for one thing. So off he goes.
Yeah, well, he'll obviously have fond memories of Rome and of Italy and Serie A, given what he achieved with Inter. But again, that was 11 years ago, and it's hard to rank these clubs, but you could at least try to make the argument that since he left Real Madrid, that each step after that he's taken has been a step down. Chelsea to Manchester United, who were really struggling on the back of Moyes and Louis van Gaal, although Van Gaal had won the FA Cup in his last game. Then Tottenham, definitely a step down from Manchester United, and I think Roma now are a step down from Tottenham. And you just wonder, is that just the way things are going club level for Jose Mourinho? But they're somewhat of a sleeping giant. Financially, they don't have an awful lot going for them, but they've a massively passionate fan base. They are one of the aristocrats of Italian football, albeit I don't think they've won a trophy in, 30 years now? I think they got to a couple of finals in that time. It's 20, is it, Richie?
Yeah, Serie A title in 2000, yeah.
So he is trying to resuscitate Roma from, the great days of the past and reaching European Cup finals in the 80s. It's a big job for him, but I would be of the opinion that Jose's tank is running dry and that all of the magic that he worked in years gone by may still be there in his mind, but just doesn't cut the mustard in the modern game.
It is starting to look that way. You almost feel like international management beckons pretty soon. That's the move in a job or two. Rich, we've had confirmation now from the Ladies Gaelic Football Association.
Yeah, they've confirmed that the championship will get underway in July after the conclusion of the Little Ladies National Football League. The LGFA's management committee met last week to plan fixtures for the upcoming months. After the latest government announcement, the opening weekend of the championship will be played on the 10th and 11th of July, with the All-Ireland finals themselves penciled in for Sunday the 5th of September. Now, on a similar tip, non-playing panel members will be allowed to attend inter-county matches this year. Last year's championships had seen playing squads strictly capped at 26. Limerick hurling manager John Kiley said he was offended by the rule at the time, while Mayo football manager James Horan called it outrageous. But Minister for Sport Jack Chambers confirmed today that players not involved in a matchday squad will be allowed inside the stadium gates for all inter-county games this season.
We do have Neil Martin on Taoiseach coming into studio after 8 o'clock. Texts are coming in for him. I'll try and get as many to him as possible. For instance, please ask the Taoiseach when people who have been vaccinated can go to matches again. I suspect that's one of the big questions. When is the government going to allow competitive sport for under 18s to resume? Surely there can't be any more risk for competing as there is to train, particularly in the outdoor sports. Questions like that coming in. Phil in Wexford Town, just to say, Alan McLaughlin, a lovely man. That goal in Belfast will live forever in my memory. May he rest in peace. Condolences to his family. Some news from Leinster then, and Johnny Sexton in this Lions announcement week.
Yeah, Jonathan Sexton remaining sidelined with a head injury. He's been ruled out of this weekend's Rainbow Cup game away to Connacht. It's almost a month since Sexton suffered his latest blow to the head in the Heineken Champions Cup quarter-final win over Exeter. Meanwhile, Rhys Ruddock has been ruled out for up to 6 weeks with a calf injury. Leinster are seeking to bounce back from their Champions Cup defeat to La Rochelle, and coach Stuart Lancaster has used an interesting comparison when trying to pick up his team.
I drew the analogy actually of the Patriots, because I'm reading the book The Dynasty at the moment, and talking about their success in American football. And you go back to 2002 when they started to build and win the Super Bowl. They've won it 6 times since 2002. But that actually means they've lost it 12 times. In 18 years, they've won it 6 times, and it's called a dynasty. But in 12 of the seasons, they've either lost in a playoff game, they've lost in a final, they've not made the playoffs. It is very, very hard to do to win at the highest level, and so I'm trying to talk to the younger players and say, we have to take the lessons and learn and move on, because I still believe there's an unbelievable squad here, and with 1 or 2 of the lads who are on the sideline this weekend available, that makes a difference as well. Johnny Sexton, Caelan Doris. Will Connors, Rhys Ruddock going off injured, Jamison Gibson Park, Dan Levy. There's some good players who, and that's why, yes, it hurts, but equally I'm fundamentally confident in the direction that Leinster are going.
So that's 3 years now, Dave. The 2 Saracens games and La Rochelle at the weekend, where Leinster have come up short. Brian O'Driscoll is on the way. A lot of people are talking about size being a big issue for Leinster, or certainly a trend that those 3 games had in common, as in against the bigger teams, Leinster have struggled. What's jumping out for you?
Well, yeah, it's the pattern of those defeats, and the similarities in each of them. Will Skelton is certainly one of the constants in those defeats from us Saracens, and then on towards La Rochelle. And I certainly felt in the second half that La Rochelle's ease of access over that gain line was just killing Leinster. They were soaking way too many tackles. They weren't falling off tackles or missing them, but every time one of La Rochelle's big ball carriers got going forward, he inevitably gained 2 or 3 metres, and Leinster had to retreat, and then the back lines, the defence splinters, and La Rochelle, in typical O'Gara fashion, we just kept that scoreboard ticking over. We're able to build a score, and then when the try comes, it's a really devastating blow. And now, look, they did go to France and in the heat in a semi-final of the European Cup and ran them very close, and they have come out the right side of those results in some seasons in the past, big days against Clermont and Toulouse. So it's not the end of the world, and La Rochelle are a really good team, and they're going to go very close to winning this. But Leinster just have to find another way to get it done. I'd love to see them sign like a world-class operator, like a Rocky Elsom, like a Scott Fardy, like maybe a Dougie Howlett going to Munster, because they are so heavily in tune with their academy and the brilliance that has produced in recent seasons, and maybe just a sprinkling of world-class foreign talent might just bring them on one bit more. And I think it has to be a forward with really big ball-carrying explosive power, like a Skelton, somebody like him. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen in the off-season, and they have been to the semi-finals routinely. Like, they're going to win another one very soon. It's a brilliant Leinster team. They just came up a bit short at the weekend.
Brian O'Driscoll on the way in a couple of moments. Pat has texted in to say, I could be wrong, but in my mind's eye, McLaughlin wheels away after scoring that goal in Windsor Park, looking every inch like a wild-eyed Marco Tardelli after his goal in the World Cup final. That's how I remember it too. I think there's definitely a shade of Tardelli in there.
Yeah, the fists are pumped, and he's almost unsure of how to celebrate, because you have to remember that celebrating that night was kind of a contentious thing, given the tinderbox that the North of Ireland was at the time. So he had to really curb things, but also was looking over to the sideline to see if this actually was any use, because we were so dependent on what was going on in the match involving Spain and Denmark that night that his goal might have counted for nothing, but ultimately, thankfully, he counted for everything.
I think he went for it. So I think he's sprinting back towards the halfway line a bit, isn't he? But the arms are going. Yeah. Amazing moment.
Think of what that led to as well, Joe. Without that goal, there would have been no Giant Stadium. You know, there wouldn't have been that blazing row between John Aldridge and the fourth official on the sideline in Orlando. We wouldn't have been those friendly wins over the Germans and the Dutch in the build-up. That goal, not only just for the night itself, but it led to an awful lot subsequent to that.
Yeah, we're just hearing Andy Townsend is going to come on the show as well. So we're just reaching out to a few teammates. Ray Houghton, Packy Bonner, we knew were coming on. So Andy Townsend is going to come on as well. I'm sure a very sad day for that whole team. Fellas, we are done. Thank you very much. Dave McIntyre, pleasure.
Thanks, Joe.
Richie, thank you.
Mind yourself, lads.
We have on Taoiseach Micheál Martin in studio after 8 o'clock this evening. Up next, Brian O'Driscoll.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
The weather's brighter, the days are longer, and you're really enjoying the grand stretch. You head outdoors, greeted by the smell of sausages sizzling from next door, thinking, it's a perfect time to fire up your own barbecue. Grabbing the essentials, laying out the sauces, finding the right place for each sausage, making sure they're sizzling perfectly. All for a taste of your favourite sausages. And for that, only Denny will do.
Any news?
No. You?
No. Nothing exciting.
Do much on the weekend, or?
Nah. Yourself?
Oh, we... well, what did we do?
Need something new to talk about? Like Energia's great deals. Come direct to Energia for the best savings on your home energy. It's news we're more than happy to share with you. Switch at energia.ie, rated excellent on Trustpilot. Energia, the power behind your savings.
Over 800,000 people tune into News Talk every week. They tune in to listen. They're engaged, interested, maybe even interested in your business. Whether you're selling to customers, to businesses, selling online, or getting ready to reopen, your next customer could be listening right now. If you'd like to talk to them, talk to us. Email advertising@newstalk.com.
Hi guys, I'm Donald Skean. This May 21st, it's the annual Great Irish Bake for Children's Health Foundation, Crumlin and Temple Street. Change the lives of sick children by raising funds for essential life-saving equipment, plus you'll receive your very own baking kit. Invite friends, family and colleagues to join a virtual bake-off, or you can organise a baking competition at childrenshealth.ie/Great Irish Bake. Together we can bake a big difference for sick children in CHI at Crumlin and Temple Street. Register today at childrenshealth.ie/Great Irish Bake. The Great Irish Bake for Crumlin and Temple Street, proudly supported by GEM.
As the country reopens, testing is vital to stop the spread of the virus and help businesses reopen safely. At MyBio, the award-winning Irish pharma company, our rapid antigen test takes just 15 minutes and COVID results are available on the spot. MyBio's rapid antigen test is inexpensive, highly accurate and best of all, easy to use. So if you're looking for peace of mind for employees or family members, order your MyBio rapid antigen